All right, guys. So it's bang on 11. Chime of the bell has gone off, so I'm going to kickstart. So first off, welcome. And welcome, everybody, to the Data to Insights webinar. Now, first few housekeeping rules before we kick off. So as you know, this is a live webinar. And so let's make it interactive. So what I'll be doing is I'll be, throughout the webinar, asking you guys a few questions, if you don't mind. And if you wouldn't mind putting your response in the chats, I'd be most grateful. Equally, should you have any questions about analytics as a service, about us, about any other questions or queries you may have, either on the webinar or about Datore, please put them in the Q&A tab. So just to reiterate, questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screens, and responses to my questions throughout this webinar in the chats. So let's try this. So first off, let me bring up chats. Please type 1 in the chats if you can hear me. Great, great. A few more? Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, lovely stuff. So now that you can hear me, let's kick off. So first off, please type 1 in the chats if you would like to be making business decisions with certainty. Perfect, great. See a 69 from someone, thank you very much. And type 1 again if you would like to be making those decisions knowing that you're going to get a return on your investment. Yeah, so would I. Great. Okay, so lovely stuff. So where are you now? So you may be feeling the pressure from your CEO or from your stakeholders to make business savings. And you're getting more and more frustrated because you know that there are savings to be made, but you just don't know how to evidence those savings, which means identifying them is a little bit of a guessing game. And what this means for you is that when you're standing up in front of your CEO or board, you're not presenting with as much confidence as you would like to. Maybe the services you're offering are coming under increasing scrutiny from your clients, as now you are being asked to provide more information, generally around ESG or sustainability. Due to ever more increasing complications in legislations, and this is making it harder for you to provide services in such a way that is profitable, but cost-effective for your clients. And this increasing complexity is also making it harder for you to go that extra mile for your clients while still maintaining your margins. Potentially, you might find yourself with a whole suite of reporting, and you get, and they're very comprehensive, and there's lots of it, but it's not coordinated. And it makes it difficult to understand or even identify what's going on. Lack of data is not the problem here. It's actually the opposite. It's data that's not brought together in a cohesive way that you can easily make sense of it, and therefore is part of your decision-making. And what that means for you, or probably more likely what that means for your team, is that they're now spending time analyzing data, time that could be used more productively. Perhaps you are compliance and governance manager, or you are responsible for compliance and governance in your organization, and you're feeling the pressure that is coming from regulation. You know that there are significant penalties if you get this wrong, but the consequence of reputational damage is far greater than any fine. So where do you want to be? Well, let's imagine a time when a board member has come to you, asked a question, and you were able to answer it, explain why, and better yet, what is likely to occur in the future. Envisage how much time you have already saved as a result of having instant data at your fingertips, when all those management reportings are completely automated and accessible in real time ahead of those senior management meetings. And consequently, picture a time in those meetings when your SMT are now focused more on how to achieve those operational savings and evidence the gains, because now that they're able to make more effective decisions quicker. And picture a time in your in-house operation is now so streamlined and efficient that through data management, you can increase the number of clients by leveraging the resource you have in your business and driving the productivity of your people. And so, if this is where you are, and this is where you want to be, the question now becomes, how do you get there? Well, unsurprisingly, I believe that you'll get there by understanding the concept of analytics as a service, either as a complementary approach to your internal data team or as a fast track to value if you don't yet have one. But what do I mean by analytics as a service? Well, for us, this means we bring technology, people with the relevant skills, and an impact guaranteeing methodology for you to start getting value from your data immediately, without the need for any in-house data skills or access to a central data team. And so why is it important to have analytics as a service as part of your management system? Well, the first reason is in this world of increased costs, interest rates, having data at your fingertips that can help you reduce your own cost, but that can also enable you to be at the leading edge of helping your clients identify where they can make cost savings, reduce risk, or even increasing their revenue as well. This is where you add value to your service without adding cost. And the consequence of this is that you gain reduction on cost to serve, and you can deliver your services with confidence and complete visibility on how you're using the latest technology to provide value-add service. Secondly, analytics as a service is going to enable you to stand out from your competitors. And in a world where clients are looking for ever more distinctions in the services that they buy, you need to be able to assure them that A, you can deliver, and B, that those services that you provide you're able to scale and adapt to their ever-changing and growing needs. Another reason why analytics as a service is important is because we are all under pressure to increase revenues and profits. And without analytics as a service, finding those opportunities or profit gains it's a little bit like shooting in the dark. Your strategies, they aren't data-driven. They're driven by gut feeling. And the problem with that is that you don't have certainty that your initiatives will actually drive those returns you need. Another reason of importance is because we all have limited resource. And you might potentially be already missing out on opportunities that are hidden in the data that you already have. Can you afford to be missing them? And perhaps more importantly, in a business landscape that's changing quicker than ever before, an organization's ability to see what's coming and react rapidly to those changes could be the difference between winning and losing. And without access to great data or insights, being proactive in this way is, well, it's close to impossible. And so why is analytics as a service important now? Well, analytics as a service enables you to make faster, more effective business decisions. And making effective business decisions is crucial at any time of a business life, but more so now than ever, when navigating times of uncertainty. Making informed decisions helps us navigate those unknowns, reduce those risks, and potentially seize opportunities by responding to the challenges faster than your competitors. And when it comes to the business landscape, when you once were able to predict 24 months in advance, then 12, then 6, now you can't even go beyond a quarter. Reacting to change rapidly is what differentiates those who succeed from those who are constantly looking over their shoulder, missing opportunities, as opposed to seeing ahead and then making course corrections as they go. Another reason why it is important now is our environment is changing. The emergence of hybrid working is making optimizing productivity a must. Rising energy prices has made energy management critical as part of the services that we provide because it's costing us all. Climate change and increase in social responsibility has made for mandatory ESG reporting. And we are now all looking at how we can become net zero by 2050. These market forces are driving you forward, and analytics as a service enables you to surf that wave. When we think about surfer, the definition of surfing is being just ahead of that wave, and then you're using that force to drive you forward. So now how do I do that in business? Well, by having accurate data on demand, and definitely not historical, that's the equivalent of that wave that enables you to keep just slightly ahead of the curve. And the final reason why now it is important is the cost of implementing analytics as a service has fallen drastically in line with all IT services, which probably means that your competitors are already doing something there. And if you're not in the game now, when AI is applied to analytics as a service in your industry, you're not going to be in a place where you can take advantage of that next step. That quantum leap is going to come, and you're not going to be ready to take it. But why listen to me? So what I'd like to do is, I feel that by better understanding who we are as a business and why every single one of us here at Datore is determined on ensuring value to our customers, it probably has something to do with how we came about. So I'd like to take you through how Datore has come together. And I'd like to take you back to November 2016. So I'm in Manchester, and it's a dreary Wednesday afternoon. I'm at headquarters of a construction and refit company, of which I belong to the tech division. And the technology division's responsibility was to ensure that all of the technology and data management and all of the on-site technology and apps are operating so that the PMs and the program managers are able to deliver those refit projects as expected. And I'm on the 6th floor, and it's the executive floor. There's no one around. I've been summoned, and I'm sat outside the boardroom. And I'm nervous. I've been summoned to answer questions on the latest board report. I've not seen it, but I can kind of guess what it's going to be about. We've lost a couple of quite large clients, and most of our projects are running at a loss. And so I'm dreading walking into that room. I know who's going to be there. I know who's going to be at the top of that table. And I know that they're looking for answers. And so I gather my courage, I take a deep breath, and I walk in. And I'm instantly hit with the tension in the room, the electricity in the air, and that deafening silence. And they're all there, staring at me, expecting. And there he is, at the top of that table, the smiling assassin, Terry. Sophia gestures to take a seat. I've called you in here to help me understand why our clients are refusing to pay for services that they claim they haven't received, and why our PMs can't prove what has or hasn't been done. Explain to me why our PMs aren't able to access what I naively believed to be very basic information. Well, Terry, the reason it predominantly comes down to is because of data. It's just inaccessible. I have to make a request for every piece of information that the PM comes to me. I then have to go to each of the various departments to request that information, wait for it, and by the time it comes to me, it's full of nulls, missing information, and my team need the time to put it together so that it does make sense to the PMs. And unfortunately, that's a lead time. Sophia, I don't care for your excuses. I want a single pane of glass. I want right first time delivery. I want my PMs accountable and my tech division competent. Single pane of glass. More like single pane in my ass. Do you know what? Put a yes in the chat, or a one or a yes in the chat, if you've ever heard of that expression, single pane of glass, or one version of the truth. Right? Absolutely. It's like some sort of holy grail. Everyone is looking for it, but no one has ever found it. And so there it was. That was my task. Find the holy grail. And so over the next few months, I did a lot of competitive analysis. I met with a lot of suppliers, finding out what their customers were asking for, what they were doing, what was the latest requests, how they were going about delivering it, what were their challenges, what were their pain points. And what I discovered was that despite the claims of many, what I was really looking at was just a lot of point solutions. And what I mean by that is that though they are good products and they meet a specific task, there was nothing that was able to provide a holistic overview or take the information, take the data from the various disparate systems, centralizing it and making it accessible to business users, not developers, business users who are going to ask the questions. And so a few weeks later, I went back to that boardroom. Terry, look, I've done some analysis and I've done some competitive analysis, and here's my proposal. In short, it's going to take adapting our current infrastructure. It's going to need some more additional software, in particular an overarching BI tool or a data visualization tool or an analytics tool, a tool that business users can actually utilize and make sense of. It's going to take people to analyze that information, and it's going to take about 8 to 12 months to get up and running, and £250,000. Sophia, you're having a laugh. We don't have that money, and we certainly don't have the time. And it got me thinking. There had to be a way to deliver this cheaper. And in such a way, people didn't have to wait years before realizing their return on investment. What if there was something that could deliver this on tap, a business, deliver what I needed on tap when I needed it, without me going through all of the pains? What if there wasn't £250,000 upfront investment? What if you didn't need to worry about having a team that understood how to analyze data and get value add from it? And more importantly, what if the time to value was measured in weeks, not 6 months to a year? And so, fast forward a couple of years now, we started a tool. A business focused on solving the very challenges I faced every day in that organization that wasn't quite ready to embrace data fully yet. But it wasn't easy. Analytics as a service was brand new. The concept seemed too good to be true. And people still wanted to do everything in-house. But we knew we were ahead of the curve. And little by little, we started to prove our worth. We saved one utilities company £500,000 in overbilled energy costs. We saved a security company £190,000 in wasted leave applications. We helped a leading solar and wind farm investment company save and use technology to propel them into winning an £80 million investment to build more solar farms and wind farms in the UK. And we helped one of the UK retailers gain £180,000 back from analysing and being able to monitor their energy consumption. And every time we improved our knowledge, we expanded our value framework, and we worked with our clients through the smart decision model. And we take huge pride in bringing these complex and expensive solutions to mid-sized organizations that in the past have struggled to reap these rewards. And so you might be thinking, okay, Soph, that's great. But what might those steps in the analytics as a service look like for me? So what I'd like to do now is take you through the steps of the smart decision model. Well, the first step, or the first pillar, shall I say, of the smart decision model that you need to get right from the get-go is to build a structure with the end in mind. And what I mean by that is always consider how that data is going to be used. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I often see, in particular in large organizations, is that they spend hundreds and maybe even thousands on their infrastructure, making assumptions on how the data will be populated and how it will be used, or how it will be formatted, how it needs to be interrogated, how it needs to be brought in, at what frequency rate, what's the concurrence of the users. And the consequence of this is lack of performance, inaccurate data because there's missing relationships. And that also leads to the inability to cross-filter by department, region, portfolio, site. Data is in the wrong format and therefore unusable. And this escalates, leading to very disgruntled C-suites because they have spent hundreds or thousands on their cloud infrastructure thinking that they were going to be able to get accurate real-time data when they needed it. Instead, they're seeing loading bars and missing information and no end in sight to that return on their investment. And so we developed our structure based on the safe, scalable cloud methodology. And what this means is that our clients benefit from lightning speed performance and accuracy of their data in real time, but better yet, they also have the guarantee and peace of mind that as their business grows and the data grows and more people are needing access to those insights, the structure scales, grows, and adapts with them, all under lock and key. And this leads on to the second area of the smart decision model, and that's the model itself. Now, what do I mean by the model? What does it allow you to do? Well, in short, it allows you to ask questions across multiple systems instantly, exploring those what-if scenarios, and therefore allowing you to understand what might be the potential impact of your decisions, not just in your department, but across the entire business. It enables you to command more of your data, rather than just being limited to silo pockets of exports or systems that don't talk to each other. Now, again, the pitfall that I see with a number of organizations I've gone into is when they're trying to model their data and bring in multiple data sets from across their various systems, their Excels, their CSVs, etc., is often that they're having to work with unclean data full of holes and missing information, data that's badly formatted, and each data set has a different terminology for the exact same measure. Well, analytics as a service takes that away from you as an organization and handles that difficulty for you. And the way we do it is we implement the steps in the data insight interrogator. For example, one of our clients that we developed a master data model for that encompassed the finance, the CAFM, Maximo, CRM, and their time and attendance data. Yeah, as you can imagine, it was for a soft FM provider. And by using the data insight interrogator, we established standardizing of terminologies like site names across all of the systems. We created key relationships between all of the data sets, and we systemized the capturing of missing information, missing data when they needed it. And this enabled them to understand the financial impact of agency hours versus employee overtime, asset lifecycling regimes against actual Maximo maintenance data. And it allowed them to establish and potentially look for trends and relationships, such as against training versus health and safety incidents. It allowed them to do a little bit of benchmarking, site-on-site performance, and get a better understanding of why certain sites were performing better than others. And that nicely leads me on to the third pillar of the smart decision model, which is analysis. Now, but what do I mean by analysis? Well, simply put, it's about answering the so what. It is the business context of the KPI or measure that is being visualized. For example, last month, the total energy consumption at a site was 154 kilowatts per hour. Okay, great, but so what? Is that good? Is that bad? You know, was it down to a particular asset that continually kept breaking down, or were there spikes, or were the spikes in alignment, or sorry, were the spikes of consumption in alignment with, you know, a particular on-site specific activity? For example, something even as simple as constant propping of the doors, or radiators being left on, or automated regimes of certain particular assets being turned on at 5 a.m. in the morning, etc. The common mistakes that I see many analysts do is visualize data for the sake of it, because it's there. And the consequence of this is that, yes, you do get pretty graphs and dashboards, but they'll only ever tell you what has happened. And often they won't explain the why, never mind what can be done about it. And so through the intelligence identifier, analytics as a service uses a combination of data superstars with domain knowledge, coupled with an advanced analytics platform, and even sometimes your own preferred BI tool. The benefits my clients get is the ability to answer those so what, those why questions. For example, one of our clients was able to see that they had over 1,600 unauthorized absence requests. 1,600. Okay, but what was the impact to the business? Well, what that meant was that people were getting paid for holidays that they were taking, but not deducting from their annual leave, potentially costing the business upwards of 190,000. And now that figure has an impact. And this leads on to the fourth pillar of the smart decision model, which is recognizing the return on investment by aligning to key business objectives. Now, why is that important? Well, because data doesn't automatically assume intelligence or value. You need to understand the reason why you're interrogating that data set, why you're building that dashboard. What is the desired outcome? What does your end user want to understand, and why? Otherwise, you'll only ever get information and not insights. And so using the return on investment roadmap, we align each project with the value the business can expect to attain. And the benefits my clients get is that they get a very strategic approach on when and how they can expect reduction on cost, increased revenue, or resource gains from improved operational efficiencies. In other words, you get certainty. And the final pillar of the smart decision model is ensuring continual relevance from the key takeaways, be it a dashboard or an insight or a widget or a report. And why is this so important? Well, this is important to you because this keeps you sticky. It ensures you remain relevant, and it enables you to continually adapt to changes in the business for yourself or for your clients, and that you remain the forefront of innovation. For example, one of our longest serving clients, so they are within the renewable energy sector, and they are responsible for operating and maintaining solar and wind farms throughout the UK. Well, our initial engagement started off wanting to improve operational efficiencies by enabling them to go from half a month to 3 days to putting together a stakeholder's monthly portfolio overview pack. Now, that might sound simple, but at the time, it took approximately 5 analysts to put together for half a month. And then this grew to bringing on more granular levels of data to their asset management team. Now, they had full automation. They were able to see the data in real time. And then on top of that, we enabled them to be alerted to when there was downtimes and when there were overcast predictions. And then we worked through our guarantee performance plan to refine the models that visualized actual energy production versus reported production, taking into account a number of factors, conditions like adding satellite information, prediction and forecasts, and changes to the sunrise and sunset times in different regions. Yeah, that one I was astonished. I was astonished at how much of an impact was it to better understand and better accurately forecast those sunset and sunrise times to the energy production. And so, those are the key pillars within the smart decision model, a methodology that we use in analytics as a service to go from data to insights. So now I'd like to go into a little bit more detail for one of them. So for this webinar, what I've done is I've chosen the last pillar that we've just been discussing, and it's the takeaway. And as you can see, this pillar is made up of 6 sub-steps. Thank you. And the one, and I don't have time to go, excuse me, into every single one of them. So the one that is, for me, of the most importance is the persona. And in other words, to you and I, that's the viewer. And why is this so important? Because even if you are in the same team, everyone has a different motive. Everyone has a different reason as to why they want to know more about X. So for example, what the senior management team want to view tends to be much more of a holistic overview. They want key RAG indicators so that it can allow them to focus their attention on things that need to be looked at. Mid-level management, they tend to want more detail, and perhaps in formats that they're more familiar with using. And on-the-ground operations are more likely to want to have more notifications and accessibility to data in real time, to be alerted so that they can do their jobs efficiently on the ground and be more proactive. And so understanding who you are serving is important. But perhaps actually what might be more important is knowing why. Why do they want to know those KPIs or measures? And why is it important to them? Is it so that they can establish a benchmark, setting performance indicators for the team? Is it to help identify strengths in others and form collaborative teams to balance the weaknesses in others? Is it because there is a very important objective on the CEO's mind, and he or she wants to evidence and demonstrate that their department are adding to that objective, presenting their key findings, evidencing it, and to show that they are supportive and that their place at the table is invaluable? And the challenge for most is that it's very difficult to get behind the motives of what people want and why. If you ask them out straight, did you like this? Did you think this is useful? Did you enjoy this webinar? Generally, because people are nice, they'll lie to you because they don't want to upset you. So instead of that, as part of analytics as a service, we interview and we do workshops with the intended viewers, or as close as possible, and gather as much information about our personas, filling in the persona template. And so let's just take a quick look at this template. We look to ask questions about people's processes because this gives us insight behind their motivations. We ask it in a particular structured format, focusing in on the "so that I can" answers that drive the actionable insights. And we look at their current frustrations and needs, as this highlights areas of improvement and what good looks like to them. And so through using this template, I want to see you dispel some false beliefs. Beliefs such as data visualization is analytics. They're not. They're graphs. They're pie charts. That specialists can deliver analytics. That only, specialists can deliver analytics. Anyone with a curious mind and who knows how to ask the right questions, coupled with domain knowledge, of course, can help deliver value. And if there's only one thing that you take away from this whole webinar right now, is ask why. And better yet, ask, so what? Why am I doing this? Why am I looking at? Why does my user want to understand X or Y? And so what? So what value does it give him or her? What are they trying to attain from it? Why is that important? What value does it give to them? What information or action can it now enable them to see to further improve operational efficiencies, for example? Okay. So now you may be wondering, how do we engage with our clients? And how much does analytics as a service cost? Well, let me run through with you what that 12-month subscription might look like. So our initial value special, initially, to begin with, our value specialists will take you through an analytics assessment. And what this entails is between 1.5 to 3 hour workshop, depending on where you are in your data transformation journey, where they'll sit with you and review what systems you have or what exports you've got. If there's specific goals or requirements that you want to add significant value to, or what strategic objectives as a business, and how could analytics map onto them. We review processes to assess your data scale needs, and we work together to identify what is the most accessible and of highest importance to determine what can be identified immediately. And we work with you to develop a business case for implementing analytics as a service, highlighting those key benefits and what you can expect to achieve within our 90-day ROI guarantee. And as a thank you for attending this webinar and for giving me up your time today, we will be sending you the persona template and the business case template following this call. So the second step in that 12-month subscription is where we start to look at the data connections in detail. We will engage with your suppliers if necessary, and we have a look at how to automate them through API connections, export downloads, emailed information that gets automatically added into the data warehouse, etc., ensuring that you get real-time information. And we build a short, medium, and long-term data roadmap that enables you to gain value quickly and allows us to work on strategic projects alongside you. The next step, or the third step, is that we look to deliver those initial builds, those data models that will enable you to answer questions across those systems and potentially have those automated monthly client reports up and running. And then this is followed by a bi-weekly value review with your value specialist. And here they'll be continually working off the value framework backlog, eating away at those assumptions and those data challenges, evidencing and presenting insights. Fourth, to ensure we align and adapt to changes, we have a monthly or a quarterly customer success session where we assess and we review other areas of the value framework and potentially bring in additional resources from Datore to help increase revenue. This is then obviously followed with key milestone reviews along the way. And the final product really depends on the client. It's a spectrum. At one end, we have clients that rely on us to do their entire data work and simply deliver them those insights. And at the other end, we have clients that have become happy to do the analysis themselves once we've built them out an engaging analytics experience, and their monthly subscription hours are used to then explore new user cases and adding in data sources. And then we have organizations that have got a mixture of the two, everything in between. The beauty of analytics as a service is that it naturally evolves as our clients' data maturity and skill levels evolve. And that is what makes us unique. The old approach to tackling the challenge of getting value from the data usually went one of two ways. You either worked with a software vendor to find a great solution, and that vendor would no doubt help you implement the solution, if you paid them, of course. But after that, you're left to your own devices to make sure it is used and continually used, and it still remains of value. Or you hired a consultant or a consulting firm that would come with a good methodology and make some great technology recommendations, but you would still be responsible for buying and upkeeping the tech. What our analytics as a service does is it bridges that gap while simultaneously removing the upfront expenditure. We bring the tried and tested methodology. We bring the next gen tech, and we bring the people that will make it all singing for the entirety of our relationship together. You simply pay the single monthly subscription and enjoy the value. Okay, so now here are the figures. So you may want to write this down or take a screenshot now. We offer 4 packages that start from $9.95 per month, and then depending on the amount of value specialist support that you need or infrastructure that you would like to take advantage of, it goes to $4.995 a month. In order to get started on your analytics as a service journey, we begin with an analytics assessment that we would normally charge at $7.50, but because you have joined us on the call today, I'd like to offer 10 of these for free. So if you are interested in finding more, then type yes in the chats now, and a member of my team will come back to you directly. Or you can scan the QR code, and you can book a meeting with one of our consultants today. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. No more slides. However, in the meantime, because yeah, I can see that some of you are talking to some of my guys, I'd like to open up the session to a live Q&A. Now I've got 10 minutes left. So if you do have any questions for me or my team, please write it in the Q&A section or chat box, or raise your hand and we'll answer it directly. Now, fantastic. So we actually have had some questions sent to us prior to this webinar. So thank you very much, Abu. And I have been through those questions. So whilst other people are putting questions in and talking to some of our guys, what I wanted to do was highlight or raise a couple of those questions and answer it for you in person. So you asked us, so I'm working for a client with transactional data, great. For analytics as a service, will all the transactional data be mitigated to the cloud service, or will a custom data warehouse need to be used? Bear in mind, I'm being very specific to the Kickstart package. So for those of you who missed it, the Kickstart package is the very first package of the 4. So in answer to your question, you're absolutely right. The very first package does not include a custom data warehouse. However, that said, the analytics platform enables you to bring in and connect directly to data sources, to their databases, and then in addition to that, to bringing in Excels and CSV files into what we call an Elasticube. But it's a centralized location where all of the data comes together, and we model it, and that data is cached. Okay, so that cube is cached. And we can schedule build, so you can have a schedule build anything between every 5 minutes to daily or weekly, etc. So you don't necessarily need a custom data warehouse. There are obviously disadvantages there, and it all depends on the size of your data as well. So you're talking about transactional data. Now, generally transactional data, you're talking a large quantity, especially if you want to have a look at historic and year on year and month. So the limitation there is going to be around the size of your data and the scalability. So again, either, again, as I said, scan the QR code so we can speak to you directly and have a look and go into more detail of that area, because it is subjected, it is dependent on the size of your data. And I hope that answers that question. Okay, so there was another question that you also put up. Okay, so that was, once analytics as a service gets created, then can the team members access this service, or and then generally make ad hoc queries and answers? Well, yes, absolutely. What we do, so what our value specialists do, is that we take you through the intelligence identifier, the steps in that process, so that not only that you can answer those ad hoc queries and access it, but you access it and answer it in such a way where you know what the so what is and gain the value from it. Great, lovely stuff. Okay, next question is, what would it look like if I tried to do this internally? Okay, great question. This is yeah, we come across this many a time. So what would that look like? It would look complicated. There's a lot of aspects to data management, analytics, data visualization, the data warehousing, the people that are needed. I mean, just to give you an idea, if I was sort of to categorize, actually, no, I think we've got a slide. Yeah, I'm looking at, yeah, okay. We actually, because this is a great question, we actually created a slide recently that details what, that hopefully answers that question. So these generally are the things that you need to think about, right? So if I was to put it into buckets, you generally have three. You've got the people, the technology, and the methodology. Now, the people are crucial. People are important. You need a DevOps, you need the data admin, you need to be able to have the analysts on board, and for that analyst to obviously know how to gain value add, and a whole myriad of people to help and assist, all coordinated and all working on the same projects, and on a focused view, on a focused project. It's the technology as well. Okay, so what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be putting yourself in a situation where you're limiting yourself now. Okay, so think about where you want to be in 5 to 10 years' time. And I don't want to confuse matters, but I'm pretty sure that most of you will have heard the terms of AI and machine learning and all those wonderful acronyms that us IT bods love to bring about. But technology is key, right? So you need to build it in such a way that you're also considering what's next. So you're looking at notebooks, okay? So you're looking at ML capabilities. You're looking at not just the data visualization, you're looking at how that data visualization, how you can drill down, answer those so what, so whys, and drill down in such a way that it's not pre-configured, okay? Because you cannot anticipate every single question that your user is going to ask. You've got to have a system that's flexible and build all of those key relationships across every data set to enable them to drill down and find out why. And then the methodology, okay? As you've seen, we go through the 5 pillars. We go through a very stringent methodology just through lessons learned. But what I would say about this methodology in particular is focus on the end. Okay, that's why I focused it during the webinar. Strategic projects, value framework. Make sure that you're aligning it back to value. Please do not just put up data for the sake of it. Understand the why, align it back to the value, and how that value is aligned back to that business objective, which goes back to, generally, it's a financial gain, okay, to the business. Again, I hope that answers your questions. I waffle a lot, so again, please let me know by responding if that does answer your question. And I've got guys behind the scenes as well adding to what I'm saying, so please have a look at the question and answer. I have another question, so 5 minutes, so I've got time. Are you finding that the increase in cost of business, labor, utilities, etc., how does that impact the return on investment? And how attractive this is to company boards? Great question. So I think for us, the value is always tied to one of 2 things. It's increasing revenue, reduction of spend, or reduction of cost, be that operational costs, or cost neutral, so operational efficiencies. Tying everything back to a financial implication, how attractive is that? I'll ask you that question, or think about it. How attractive is it that you can go back to your board, go back to your C-suite, and you can say to them, by implementing this particular service, or by having this capability, I can save you X. I can do Y. Yeah, that's pretty attractive. And not just that, but that puts you in a position of value, not just at the table when you're in front of those C-suites, but puts you in a position of value to your team, to your department, to your organization. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Wayne. Any others? I think I've answered everything. Well, if not, please continue to put your questions in the question and answer bot. And any questions that I haven't covered or comes in a little bit late, we will ensure that we follow up with both the question and the answer following this webinar, in addition to the free templates. But please, again, when I say free, they are invaluable. You know, please, as I said in the webinar, please dispel those false beliefs using those templates. Otherwise, come chat to us about how you can utilize them to the best of its capabilities. Okay, now I'm waffling. So it's 2 minutes before the end of the webinar. I'd like to take this time to first thank everybody who has joined the call. This is our first webinar. I am still nervous as hell, so please let us know, give us some feedback. Otherwise, you can have 2 minutes back of your day and go get a cup of tea. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic day, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.